You had to actually do this. They started offering people 80 years. And all of a sudden, this hard, stand-up type guy, right, when they say that 80 years, they say, well, you know what? We'll knock this 80 down to 20 if you tell on somebody. All of a sudden, that revolution that y'all was talking about ain't all that good. Because we really don't want to be free. We just want to be more comfortable in a system. We don't really want to govern our own. Because when you govern on your own, it's like moving out of mama's house. You got to do everything. So one thing that we do is, that we must do, I believe in building community, is that we have to inspire and plant the seed of black love. Because if we don't do that, if we don't plant that seed, nothing ever grows. The seed has to be planted. And we also got to realize that, look, if you really ready to do that sacrifice, make that sacrifice, that's fine. But everybody ain't gonna necessarily be ready to do that. Some people ain't ready to go on here and move into the country. Some people ain't. But it's still something that they can do. Find your role, find the shoes that fit you and walk in them. I'm just saying, please walk in them. Do something for your people. It's a sad day that it goes by that you have not done nothing to help black people. Every day you wake up, by the time you go to bed, you should have done something to help your people. And if we start doing that, because my thing is, when I saw George Floyd and the man and people standing there with phones and all these things, I understand somebody might not run up or up their thing and just gun the police. But I would hope that you would at least throw a brick or something. Do something. And that's what we have to start doing, y'all. I mean, the reason that we have not used the blueprints, it's only two reasons. Because the brother done told, we got plenty of people that told us what to do. It's only two reasons that we have not picked up the tools that are laid at our feet. It's only two. You either a coward or you lazy. Ain't no other reason. You either scary as hell, and that fear can be not just from physical, it can be for discomfort, it can be for losing, you know what I'm saying? You know, some of your comfortability, getting put out, losing your Section 8, losing your rent car, losing these things. It can be all those things. Either you're a coward or you lazy. Because you don't want to get up and do it. You rather wait for somebody else to do it. And our people suffer from a lack of maturity. More than anything else. We have not grown up where we are the men and women, even though we want to act like and be treated as men and women. We suffer from a lack of maturity. So I got another meeting, but I am so glad that you all are here. The Garvey Center is always open. We got Garveyites around here, and all of you all are Garveyites. I want y'all to know that you all are members of the UNIA. It's not something you join, it's something you born into. If you're born black, you're a member. And whenever you hear everybody's on post, when you walk in here, you walk around any of your people, and this is something that you have to internalize. No matter where you at, and if it's your people, you are on post. Safety is everybody's responsibility. I love everybody in this room. I'm talking about real black love, the best love out. I love all you all. Black power, race first.
Race first. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, as that's a young elder. I'm gonna throw out the third thing, and that is, our communities exist, and we're not always talking about it. So, I respect, the information, the knowledge, the wisdom that was shared here. But y'all, this is not the only group of people who are trying to figure out how to build community. And this is not the first time, and we have been successful before. It's sustaining success and growing from it. There's a community in Indianapolis where black people built their entire community with their own hands, with a little bit of help from folks who were the experts, but they didn't use their hands. They just approved the plan. They built their own houses. They were not trained in it. They got that done because the city itself marginalized them and would not allow them to live in their neighborhoods. Then the thing that Indianapolis did later was take a good part of that land. This is where Madam C.J. Walker, the first actual U.S. woman millionaire, where her headquarters is stationed. Her building is now and stands there to this day. But the city took a part of that neighborhood, broke it up, bought in a highway, and now has Indiana University, Purdue University's campus sits there and has sat there for 50 years. But all of that used to be black economic power. So what I'm saying to us is, just because you may not know where we've been successful before or no one's told you, this is another place to do some research. We've been successful time after time. Just like, I bet just about all of our grandmothers knew how to feed 10 people with almost nothing. We know how to do stuff. We've either forgotten or accepted what other people said, which is if we didn't have their degree or their certificate or their training, we can't even braid our own hair. You know, some stupid stuff. So I'm encouraged by the conversation that's going on here. For me, what community looks like is that we're all well. We're in our right minds. We're healthy. We're eating. We have houses. We have, you know, clothes. It's not for me, community is not a place of lack. It's not about giving up stuff as much as it's about sharing what we have in common. Every one of us has something we can teach somebody else. Every one of us has a talent, a skill, an ability, whether we've tapped into it or not. But once you know what it is, you pass it on, you grow. So for me, a community is, you know, we figure out how to keep that generation going. We should, and we actually are, better than every generation before us in America. But to get back to that most empowered, you know, our real selves, it is going to take continuously learning about who we are, loving who we are, growing, you know, getting rid of that fear. We really don't, I was going to say, we really don't have to be afraid of them, but they've taught us to be afraid of them. But when we're in our full power, they can't even stop us.
I appreciate that, Queen. I really appreciate that. I think when the young sister got on television, and I can't remember her name, but she said the black community is in a state of emergency.
Yeah.
And so when I think about her saying that the black community is in a state of emergency, and that was after the death of George Floyd. And since that time, 120 more people have been killed by the police. I think that negates any type of compromise. I think that negates any type of negotiation at this point. I think that negates any type of staying in your respective places and just accepting what potentially could come, more than likely praying that it doesn't come. I think that the man and woman that don't take the necessary action, they're going to, at least in this country, they're going to be somebody's slave. Or they're going to be in somebody's morgue. That's what we're seeing. Now, there is a we're in a class system even amongst the black community. Because T.I. and Killer Mike, they're not gonna feel it like we do.
Period.
They can get on and talk about it, that's great. But they're going back to $1 million homes that are probably, those communities are probably protected.
Right.
They probably don't have the police forces rolling through them like this community does. And for the brother to say that they don't even know who's in here, but they know something's going on and important enough to make them stop and ask him, that's a problem. That's not community. Mind your business. What are you stopping for? You didn't hear any gunshots going off. You don't see nobody out front fighting. You don't see any blood on the sidewalk. What are you stopping asking for? Which lets me know that you feel the presence of power and you try to kill that power whenever you get a chance, or use intimidation tactics to try to change that.
Yeah,
So I'm saying that we need a space of our own.
exactly.
And there are, you're absolutely right, there are communities around this country that are doing it. I know Pastor Dow, he's got a community with, I think he's got, what, 90-some acres, where he's built over the course of years. Built homes, and they go through their little stuff too with the racist white boys, but that's different. That's different because they can shoot back. And he keeps his gun, keeps it wherever he goes, but it's their community, they're running it. And you know, they're not going through the same thing we going through out here. I think his locations are he's got a few locations, Tennessee and I think Milwaukee, not Milwaukee, but Wisconsin. I think he's got some land there as well. And they got different communities spread out. I think he's got over 100 and some acres. I think the one in Tennessee that he's got is 90-some acres. And then he's got, I think it adds up to like 168, 169 acres. But it's their own communities. And outside of them going through the racist white boys who live out in these countries, who want to roll through with their trucks and all of that, coming on their private land, and he's letting them know, you will get shot, you don't get off. Outside of that, they grow their own food. They're doing their own thing, and they're not dying. Not dying. And so I think that in the context of, for the young people, they get a chance to see people building with their hands. They get a chance to see people, they're not going through that trauma.
But I wonder why they don't promote that, like why is that not seen, like, you know, Oprah or the big guys go out and these black men doing this, and say, hey, you know what, look at this, and pass it down.
Because Oprah and them are only going to go at black men that are committed or are accused of rape. They're only going to go at black men that are accused. They're never going to give a story on a good black man, unless he's emasculated.
Right.
Then she'll do it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to keep in mind that certain people that are in positions whether they're in our face a lot or they're in some position of power, they're usually answering to someone who above them, so they can only say certain things. Yeah, so. Yeah.
And I also think with the people that they have that, you know, represent us, we have to also start understanding that worshiping and being fans, you know, they're two different things. A lot of people don't understand. You know, like I know everyone has their own, you know, religions and everything like that, but with these people, we're practically worshiping them. So when we say, oh, this person did this, no, they didn't. We don't know them. You don't know what they did, what they're capable of. So a lot of these people, we can't take, you know, their word as gold because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, they answer to a higher calling, you know, whatever it is, that's who they answer to. And with that being said, it's so much that how we put on them that we believe, and we look at them as certain people like Barack Obama, how we speak on. If we tell somebody, oh, Barack Obama signed this and that, no, you can't tell anyone that Barack Obama didn't do this or that Oprah didn't do that. And so we're living up under these people, and we have to start trusting and believing in ourselves, which goes to self-actualization. And I feel like a lot of us don't have it, and it starts very, very young, where 2 and 3 years old, your daughters come up to you and say, my hair is curly. You know what I'm saying? I have brown eyes. When they start to understand learning colors, shapes, and things like that, then that's how we can start instilling more of self-actualization on them, and that also helps with, just imaging and how they start to treat other people when they start to actually see and understand for themselves. And we have to watch our wording around our children. So if you're like nappy and this and that, then that's what they're gonna call their nappy. And like, I know that we've watched the children with which one is the bad doll and which one is the good doll, and the good doll is the white doll and the bad doll is the black doll, and they don't really know why. I've watched my children choose avatars and choose someone that looks nothing like them. As much as I promote, you don't have to have long hair, you don't have to have this and that. Even me going myself without, going without weave, going without nails, going without lashes and things, just letting them see, okay, of course it's okay for them to be beautiful, but we also have to teach them just being beautiful within themselves, and it also comes with how we talk and what we listen to, and, who we look up to. Who do we have on our walls? If we have, like he said, white Jesus on our wall, it's gonna be, normal for our kids to say, I want straight hair. I want blue eyes. I want that she's pretty. I've watched children say, she's super, super pretty, but I've watched them see multiple beautiful black women right after that and will not say anything at all. So self-actualization is another thing that I see in community.
So what I was saying was the guys like you and that pastor, those are the ones we should be promoting, because
Right.
they're actually out in the community doing it.
Right.
For me, I'd rather give my tithes to someone like you that's actually out here doing something versus giving it to a church. Like, no, I'd rather give it to someone that's actually out here making a difference. And so I figure like we can do that on our part, like, hey, this pastor is doing this, and just get it out there. So
I got a question. I was actually in my office and I seen y'all on Facebook, and I was asking, where are these people at? And so somebody said St. Louis, and then I heard somebody say Chicago. I said, nah, they in Chicago, where I'm at. I need to come out here. So me and him, we got in the car, we came right out here. To me, before we can make the strides we need to make, we have to like really examine the condition of our people. So it's just like you can't fix a car until you analyze the car to figure out what the problem is. Same thing if somebody gets sick, you don't just start pumping medicine in them and you don't know what the problem is. I've actually did like a real like examination of our people to actually come up with the answer for our people of what the problem is. And we've had many organizations, but what we failed to build and establish is our government. A government can have many organizations, but an organization can never have a government. So we have to begin to understand it's okay if you Nation of Islam, Black Panther, Christian, Baptist, Buddhist, whatever it is. But you gotta have a citizenship, and you have to come back under the constitutional fold of government in order to really attain and achieve the power that we want to attain and achieve. Without us having a government, every nation of people is ruling with a government. Our people have to learn and understand nationality and understand what it means to have a flag, and that nationality connects you to a land. These things are important. I hear the terminology black a lot, and I don't really argue with people about it. I just try to educate them to understand that black is legal statuses in America, but not only in America. You can go to look at the Chinese in South Africa right now. They're reclassifying the Chinese people as black. In China, they have illegitimate children. They call them black children. So this is not just something that goes on here in America, but all over the world, black is a legal status. Okay, so in knowing that and us reestablishing our government is the power to have our own police, and most important of all, the power of us to be able to exercise the most two powerful gifts God gave us, and that's the power to contract and the power to write and create laws. If we're not writing and creating our own laws, then we're subject to the laws of other people who write them. So in the Bible, you know, our God tells us, you know, the law is written for those that's lawless. Right now in America, our people are a lawless nation of people because you have foreigners in your country writing laws to govern you by. No other government have, you don't see Mexicans and Puerto Ricans in the Japanese government or the Chinese government. We must establish our government here. And I came to let y'all know it's actually been done. It was reestablished in 2015, and it's striding strong right now. We are actually operating in over 16 states throughout the country, including Washington, D.C., and we also in Canada. The United States of America Republic is the government that we establish. Our government is a republic form of government. When you look at most of the countries through South and Central America, you will see that those are republic forms of government. We are the true American people, and we have to begin to educate the youth to understand there's a difference in a United States citizen and an American citizen. The biggest thing we missing is civics. We should be raising government officials, not, you know, when you just go back to our history and look and pay attention, you will see that most of our leaders have always been pastors and preachers. And you see what you got. But you got to start using common sense and pay attention, because guess what? You got 300 churches in a 30-block radius.
Yeah.
You don't have no supermarkets of your own. You don't have no law enforcement of your own. So, but pastor got a $60 million jet. You have to have government officials like every other nation. You can't keep sending church people to do the work. Faith without works is dead. The church about faith. Government officials is about the work. They're going to make the reality change. So right now, we're changing the reality right now. And as I said, it's been going on since 2015. And we're actually getting ready to open a Bureau of Motor Vehicles on the west side of Chicago under the United States of America Republic, national government, because we're national citizens. Our citizenship transcends state boundaries, which means it takes you from the jurisdiction of state being able to rule you. City governments and county governments are who holding us hostage with their municipal laws. When you claim your true birthright and your true nationality, you then become a national citizen, and your citizenship status will catapult you above above city and county governments, where they can't enforce their laws on you anymore. Now it comes down to what laws have you passed as a people. We actually been passing laws for the last 5 years. We got murder, rape, arson, treason, biological weapons, you name it. This is in the public and been in the public for 5 years. And again, when you read the Bible, I can kind of understand when God said in the Bible, no man or woman knoweth the day when the kingdom cometh. Guess what? It came. It's been here 5 years. And you have actual people, your own people. Everyone in this room right now has an opportunity to be a forefather and foremother of the reestablishment and building of our new government and our new nation. Anyone in here, I don't care how young they are, they could be a government official tomorrow. All they have to do is want to do it. And most of us already are government officials. We've been managing our households. We've been budgeting and managing money for a long time. You know what I'm saying? So it's not something that's not obtainable and achievable. And just understand, we can never really come to real power as long as everything we do, even though we're trying to be independent and separate and open our own businesses, we still going to the Europeans for the business license. How can you grow? So us having our own government removes that glass ceiling that's over our head. There is no more ceiling when you have your own government. Because guess what? Governments don't write laws to govern other governments. They don't write laws to govern other governments. This is the last stage of the playing field. When we start doing real estate, they change the rules. When we start learning about bankruptcy, they change the rules. They can't change the rules in government because every government is writing its own laws, has its own bankruptcy laws, its own tax laws, its own everything. It's based on what we put together as a nation, but under political agenda. And political agenda is self-governing and the right to self-determination. And so anything else, if we're not doing that, we're really playing games. While the rest of the world Because the human race is not different people the way people think it is. The human race is each race of people trying to be number one in electronics and manufacturing and industry and space. That's what the human race really are. And right now we in dead last. And without us establishing our government, we not even on the field. So we got a government, and me and his brother, you got them books.
I'd like to interject real quick, brother. So I get what I totally get what you're saying.
I just want to see one.
But I do want to, I have to interject and say this is the unity law.
That's just so y'all can look at it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Verify what I'm saying is true.
So this is the unity law. I totally understand what you're saying, and I totally get the importance of what you're saying. However, I have to say this, that in 1862, at the Berlin Conference, Europeans got together and decided that they were going to chop up a Kebulon. They decided that they were going to give Leopold the Congo, which is now the Democratic Republic of the Congo. They decided that the Dutch were going to get a certain section. They decided that the British were going to get a certain section. All of these, the continent of Kebulon, those countries that they went into, all had governments. Right now, the Democratic Republic of the Congo has its own government. However, the cobalt and coltan that they send 8- and 9-year-old children 500 feet into the earth to extract, to give to the Chinese and the Europeans, the Democratic Republic of the Congo is a government. Over the last course of 50 years, they have assassinated or removed or pulled coups on over 60 different African leaders that they felt weren't going along with the plan or the government. My point is that what you're saying is valid. However, these devils don't follow law. When they're coming for it, they don't care if you're a government. If we don't have a government, and I'm not negating what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that if we don't have a government to have nuclear weapons to back it, if we're not controlling the uranium, then it kind of falls on deaf ears with our organization, because we understand that history shows us when these devils decide that they need resources. Haiti right now has a government, but they also have a product called iridium that costs $26 billion per ton. Hillary Clinton's brother controls that for the next 25 years. But Haiti's got their own government, but Haitians aren't allowed in this country the same way that Dominicans are. And then when they wanted to remove a Haitian president because he was going against the regime, and because Haiti doesn't have the nuclear weapons to control their country, the U.S. goes in whenever it wants to, or any French country goes in whenever it wants to, and takes those resources. So until we have the firepower on the same level, China is a real government. China shut their borders down for 25 years, and when they opened, they were a world power. Not because of the number of people, not because they have a government, so to speak, but because they have the nuclear weapons to back their government. There's no black country or melanated country or aboriginal country on this planet that has nuclear weapons. And so the Europeans continue to go in and take. This is about resources and wealth and power and control. And when they want it, they come and take it. And tell me a point in history where that hasn't been the case.
Well, this is what I'm going to say to everything you just said. And I agree with what you're saying. But we're in a different age and time now. And before you can have nuclear weapons and those type of capabilities, you're still going to first need to establish a government. Bottom line, period. You don't just pop up as an organization and y'all got nuclear weapons now. No, it don't work that way. So I'm about answers to the problem. I don't do a lot of going back, way back in history, because I'm building history and we building history right now. My history started in 2015 with the establishment of this new government for our people here in America. So if we keep concentrating and focusing on the past and what they did and being, I heard the gentleman saying, oh, they scary, they scared, they're cowards. Guess what? I'm not a coward, I'm not scared. Guess what? I established the government. Right now, we're getting badges and vests and guns for our law enforcement, which is the establishment of our own militia. So our law enforcement is the militia. The law enforcement of our people would be only our people. And they would have enough power because we set the government up the correct way. They would actually have power to go arrest Europeans if they shoot out people unarmed in the street. So again, I hear everything you're saying. I hear what you're saying. Now, the time that we're in now, for those that don't understand, the United States government is over with. If you don't know, pay attention. It's over. They $22 trillion in debt. They can't come back out. When you start seeing them down here on 55th, when you seen them down here on 55th start tearing George Washington statue down, they tearing down the colonial flag and all these different statues you see. You're seeing the destruction of the Europeans getting ready to have to, guess what they got to do? This is a known fact. Colonization has an ending period. Their ending period is over. Now it's up to you to realize that their ending period is over. And guess what? Start lining yourself up to take over. Because if you don't, guess what? If you don't establish your government, the Chinese will be over here ruling over you next. This thing don't change. The only thing that changed, like he said, everybody he named, they have a government. They have a government. We can't ignore the fact that, guess what? We need a government. And saying that, you know, we ain't got nuclear weapons, that still don't remove the fact that we still need a government. You follow what I'm saying?
But brother, the countries that do, all the countries that do, the majority of uranium comes out of a Kebulon.
Right,
The country that has the majority of uranium in a Kebulon, they don't have nuclear weapons, bro. And the reason they don't have nuclear weapons is not because they don't want them. It's because somebody is saying you can't have it, government or not. So if we have a government here, they got guns and bullets over in a Kebulon with those governments. If we have a government here, what I'm saying, shoot, China just bought a couple countries in a Kebulon. They just bought them. And those countries got governments. So unless we're talking some type of firepower to protect, these devils, they protect their land with the firepower. That's why they're the biggest bully in the world.
They can no longer
speak.
protect.
I heard you talking about firepower in the beginning when I first came here, so that don't negate the fact that we're going to have firepower anyway. That was the problem with Black Wall Street. They had everything in place, but they didn't have no military. So
exactly.
What you're talking about, you're still going to be government when you get through talking. You're still going to have to set up government. This is our land. Let you remind you that right now, this is our land.
Facts.
And we have to be prepared to take it over. You can't take it over if you don't have no government in place.
So wait, are you telling me that I'm going to go to the European government to make this happen?
No.
Because that's the power system right now.
No, this is what I'm telling you.
Europeans.
This is what I'm telling you.
Okay.
That's a corporation. They're not even a government. They're not our government. They're their own government on our land.
Exactly.
So we don't even supposed to be asking them for sitting there on their own situation. That's their situation. That's not ours.
Exactly.
We're supposed to set up our own shit.
Exactly.
We're not part of this.
Brother, let me say this, brother. I used to be a Moor.
Okay.
I used to be a Bey.
Okay.
I used to be. And in the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, I'm very studied in those.
Okay.
And I see I honor that, brother. But the fact of the matter is what we're dealing with, and I done heard a lot of Moors from California to the Bay Area to the East Coast.
Okay.
I haven't found one yet that has started a government, that has their
Well,
own
we talking
government.
about it. He just
that
said
has
he
their
did.
own
I'm right
government.
here. I'm right here.
So that means the police can't come through that door right now and see
The
black
police
skin and won't blast you.
Listen.
I'm just asking.
Listen,
We all black
listen
in
to what
here.
I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. You can go to the Secretary of State of Arizona right now and look up this government, and on their website it tells you this is a national government. You can go to Indiana, Maryland, Washington D.C., all these different states, and they're telling you this is a government. The state of Virginia has said it. The United States of America Republic has declared its independence and sovereignty, and according to the 18th Amendment of its Constitution, does not fall under the laws of any state. This is from the state of Virginia saying this. It's not nothing that I'm making up and coming in here trying to spin off on you. No. Facts. You can't dispute the facts. This is in the European stuff.
That's all
now,
sad.
Had George Floyd told the cop, I have my own government, would the cop have taken his knee off of his neck?
George Floyd.
If he said he had his own organization, would he have taken his knee off his neck?
Exactly my point. Exactly my point. His skin got him killed.
But the bottom line,
That's still not taking away from the fact we need a government.
I don't know why you missed that. Regardless, when we get through talking, we still gonna have to set up a government.
Gotta have a government.
But what we taking away,
and-
hold on, let the queen speak for a second, because
Please speak.
the etymology of words, okay? To govern meant, govern is to control, to steer. Ment is the mental, the mind. Why do we need to have more control than what we already had all our lives? I'm not understanding the etymology of words, and I'm down with that wordplay.
Okay.
We talked about it on the way here.
Okay.
Government. We don't need.
Okay, what's the better word?
We could self-control ourselves.
That's where it started.
You know,
That's where it started.
self-control.
That's where it started. Then a group of people that already got control of their own minds.
Group togetherness.
Yeah, it started with you, me,
You know,
as
I
individual.
don't need nobody to control me, man.
No, you control yourself.
You control yourself, and that's what government means.
Exactly. We talking about people that can govern their own mind. We don't even supposed to be here.
That's right.
Take care of ourselves. It started with us.
You know, you hear these people say all the time, our people was disenfranchised. What they're really saying is you lost your government. Corporations, people create corporations because they don't want to get hit with the liability. Our people keep getting hit with the liability because they don't have a government in front of them. Everybody else got a government in front of them, and as long as you don't have a government in front of you, you're going to keep getting hit with the liability because you're a bunch of self-proprietorships versus being Walmart. Why you want to stay mom and pop stores instead of unifying and being one big franchise? Now you moving forward. When you say, oh, we can govern ourselves, understand what you're saying. Yeah, you can govern yourself, but govern yourself as a people. Stop trying to govern yourself as individuals, because guess what? It's other nations that's moving as people. They're not moving as individuals. It's Europeans going in back rooms having meetings about how to kill you using silence. That's not no individualism. That's a group and nation of people coming together because they know you're a threat. And again, I understand what's going on all over the world and all that great stuff, but guess what? A little girl start twerking over here, they start twerking all over the world. A little boy start rapping here, they start rapping all over the world. Soon as you get your government up, the whole rest of the world is going to follow whatever you're saying. Know who you are.
I don't want her to be confused. She's right. It started as an individual. We don't supposed to be in the room unless we can govern ourselves first. And then we try to get on the same page right now.
That's family.
And that's when it becomes a government, one big family. Government on that level he's talking about. But it starts with us. We ain't trying to lead nobody.
Family.
You gonna be able to stay on your own.
Family, again, this is the unity walk. This is the unity walk. I was invited down here for the unity walk celebration. Until I know my people can be protected. The sister said we in a state of emergency. I don't have time to go deal with no government. Right now, the necessities, food, shelter, and guns and bullets.
Right,
We can worry about government,
again.
food, shelter, guns, and bullets, because let me tell you something, Kenya, they got a government. Even some Kenyans consider themselves white. They don't use the word black. They slaughter them over there. They slaughter them. South Africa, they got a government. South Africans ain't saying they black. They're saying they're South Africans. They slaughtering them over there.
Governments protect themselves. You gotta have that.
Can I say something?
They ain't got no
You're being
protection.
confusing when you say that, though.
The point is all over planet Earth right now, black people are being slaughtered. Melanated people, whether they are part of a government or not. Show me any place in the world right now where the European is not attacking black people.
Okay, well, let me
All over the
speak on
world.
something. So, do we see Mexicans marching and protesting when their people is violated? Do we see Chinese people marching and protesting when their people are being violated?
Yes, we do.
Do we?
Yes. And in
Do we?
China, you can get killed for that. But yes,
Do
they
we?
do. protest.
So,
Yes, they do march.
in America,
They don't get violated here.
Okay, so my point is this,
Not
right?
like that,
So my
not to
point
that
is this, so
extent.
my point is this, right? The reason why we protest and march is because we see a lack of justice within a justice system. So going back to the part of having a government and having your own law enforcement, is how it's supposed to work. Because it's telling us in the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, on how we supposed to rebel. It's telling you got the right to abolish. Well, yeah. But it's telling you got the right to alter, amend, abolish, institute, or frame a new government. Right? So, how come we haven't done that?
But
Hold on. So how come we haven't done it? And my second thing is this, right? So when you're talking about receiving justice, marching and protesting is not giving you justice. Burning down police stations, it's just making your feet hurt. Burning down police stations and destroying your community is not bringing you justice. Only thing that's going to do is force them people to put a hand in your pocket and collect them taxes to restore everything that was destroyed. The way that it's supposed to work is, when you got your government in place and you got your law enforcement out here, you send your law enforcement to go arrest the person who violated your people. You put him in your jail. You collect the evidence. You bring them to trial before one of your judges in your court, and you try them according to your laws, and you convict them. And if they kill your people, you sentence them to death. That's justice.
So them Mexican children that was in the concentration camps, basically by Trump. That Mexican government hasn't done nothing. And the same thing.
It's Europeans in there being deported.
No, it's Mexicans got their own government. They got their own government. But the same thing you just said, as far as our rebellion. Nat Turner did that without any constitution, without reading any law books. Nat Turner instinctively knew, after reading the Bible for a minute, going back to the Old Testament, he instinctively knew that it's better to kill my slave master than to allow this torture to continue. If we're not killing, that's on us.
Nat
We
Turner
can talk.
actually followed the law, though.
Huh?
Nat Turner actually followed the law, though.
Well, but he didn't do it intentionally.
Which law?
He didn't do it intentionally. Yeah, which law?
The Torah.
The what?
So
The Torah.
he didn't follow the American law.
No, see, yeah,
He followed the Torah.
the Torah, but is Torah the American law?
All through the American law. All through the American law. You know how to read it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So, did he read the American law to tell him that he can kill white people?
No, he read the Torah. I just said he read the Torah. The
Okay.
United States government has an executive branch, legislative, and judicial branch. Why?
But why did he get killed? After he did that, why did he get killed?
It wasn't time for us to come into power just yet.
So, like Yerima says, the European have the power. You can get your government, we all with that. But when they come and kill me, what are you gonna do besides say, y'all killed my people? And then what? Like,
I just
how are
told
we
you we're
gonna?
getting badges, guns, and vests right now. Finna put marshals on these streets right now.
I get that. Do you have enough to combat the
From the
American?
looks of it, it might be a while before we get enough, but we have
That's our point
quite a
right
bit.
That's
We
our
have
point.
quite
We
a
don't
bit.
have enough.
And again, I'm gonna say this again, because I'm speaking answers to problems. I'm not making excuses saying that, well, you know, these people have governments, but this is still being done to them. What I understand is that we are different people than all people on earth.
I agree.
Okay? And again, like I said, little girls start twerking over here, they start twerking all over the world. Little boys start rapping over here, they start rapping all over the world. Everybody all over the world is watching our people and emulating what they see our people do. Because we're special people. So when they see our people raise ourselves up from so-called slavery, coming back under the constitutional fold of government, and once again taking our seat in the affairs of men, being able to have your voice heard at the United Nations versus Bill Clinton or some other European going up there speaking for you. The problem why they sent Trayvon Martin father and Michael Brown mother them from up there is because it's the United Nations. And nations have governments. And that's the bottom line of it. You know, I'm born and raised on the west side of Chicago. Chicago has always been about organization. Organization. And the street gangs from Chicago stemmed all across this country. I've been in federal prison before. Guess what? If you from Chicago, I don't care what state they got you in, you're very well respected because you're from Chicago. That's how well our organization is. So to me, it's not a coincidence that somebody from our city established our government. You follow what I'm saying? So now, again, we can all start getting guns. Guess what? When they find out how many you got, the feds coming to get you. But when we establish our law enforcement agency, we can have many guns because it's a law enforcement agency. So just like the Black Panthers, they armed, they marching, but they got to understand it's time to put away Black Panthers and do the same thing the Ku Klux Klan done did. They put down the white robes and put on blue uniforms. Now we need the Black Panthers to, okay, we get it. You can still stay part of that. But you need to put on this uniform. You need to get this badge and come under the power of a state government, which is going to give you the power to kill and not go to jail for it. Because you protecting your people, the people being the state itself.
I'm confused. What do you mean they won't go to jail?
They won't go to jail for it. Because they're doing it under the authority of a government entity like the rest of them are. And that government entity protects them because that government entity is, like I said before, it's like a corporation. So the people, being all of us, formed ourselves into this government entity, which is called the United States of American Republic. And by us forming into that, we have certain protections that that can't be penetrated. Just like you see with the city of Chicago, when they're shooting people and killing people, and these police not actually going to jail. So again, I'm not trying to take away from nothing that you're teaching, brother.
No, you're fine,
I
you're
want to
fine.
make sure I make that clear. I'm not trying to take away from nothing you're teaching. But again, you know, I look to what the problems is. And I said it before, a government can have many organizations, but organization can never have a government. And we got to learn that and understand. The true thing that unifies us all, whether you're a part of the government or not, guess what? This government still going to protect you in the end. Because the good shepherd's going to look out for the flock. So those of us that's in enough knowledge and understanding of civics, and the sister said it, family. Guess what? Pick up any civics book, it's going to tell you. It started off as families, families became tribes, tribes became clans, and clans became nations. I'm not trying to go back to being a tribe. Okay, we're a nation. And the sooner we start thinking on levels that nations think on, you're going to start rising. And again, all these babies, we done had 5 children born this year. We issued 5 birth certificates from our government to these children. Their birth certificates say North America on them.
So
Okay?
can they go to
We
school
not.
and get everything here, like school, laws, everything like that?
We need to open our own schools, because when you open your own schools, but you
So
opening
you
them.
need funding for this government,
Listen,
right?
listen. When you open your own schools, but under your government, the Europeans can't tell you what curricula to teach.
But who
So
funds this government?
the people themselves fund it. You're funding their government right now.
So in your government, you guys fund it.
Our people fund our government. The people that are citizens of our government funds our government, just like any other government. Okay, so now, your school, and Nobuju Ali taught this, and this was the reason he established the temples back then, is because they couldn't tell the people what to teach in the temples. That's why he brought the religion around. So they couldn't tell them what to teach, which he put civics in the Moors Temple of America for us to learn civics. Okay, so basic civics is going to teach you, and when you look at these people, you can see it clear as day. What I'm telling you is the truth. Because their families, the same families that's sitting in government for however long. These the same people in their government for however long. They've got schools that they send their children to learn how to become government officials. We're not doing that. Yes, ma'am.
So I think what she's possibly trying to get to is like, let's say if your people that you issue the birth certificates to or whatever, when they go to the hospital, if they're living in America and they go to the hospital, are they going to be turned away? Do they have a certain insurance? Are they not in the system? Are they an alien? Do they call ICE? Like, what do they do?
Because
You know what I'm
If
saying?
you're so, if you're, first of all, if you're sovereign in this country, if you're just sovereign, we're not talking native, if you're just sovereign, you don't get police protection.
Right.
You don't get hospitals.
Right.
You don't get that. As a matter of fact, if you're sovereign, you're not even supposed to have a social security, none of that. You don't get none of those protections. If your house is burning, you're responsible. You can't call the fire department.
Right.
You're responsible to put that out. The other thing with the United Nations is, first of all, we have to know the history. We have to understand that about 60 corporations in the world control the world, starting with the Rothschilds and them. When we talk about the United Nations, we have to understand that used to be Lucius Publishing Company, which stands for Lucifer Publishing Company, which was established by the Rockefeller Foundation. Within the confines of the United Nations, they have a special room in there that's dedicated to Luciferian worship. They also have a big wall, a big picture on their wall that shows in biblical script. They have a guy on a white horse standing, and the white horse is raised up. They have a black man who's shackled as a slave. They have all of these things. When China came up out of its 25-year sojourn and closed its gates and reopened back up, the UN said, we want you to be part of the United Nations. China said, we don't need to. We don't need to be part of your organization unless we're part of the Security Council, because we got nuclear weapons right now. So when you see these black governmental groups sitting in the United Nations, they mean nothing. They can make no changes because 60 corporations in the world dictate how the world is operated. What you're seeing right now is a social and economic rewind. They're trying to figure out a way to bring in cryptocurrency or digital currency, and the only reason that they haven't yet is because they haven't figured out a way to control it, because cryptocurrency is regulated on a desegregation or deregulation type or decentralization type of thing as opposed to a centralized thing. So, I mean...
I got something to say to that, but you can get back on.
Yeah,
When they gave us, when they passed out that little money, that stimulus, the United States started their own centralized cryptocurrency that day.
Yeah. But if you're just sovereign, you don't get the amenities. So it's not a dual process. If you have your own government, you don't get the amenities that these provide. I know people who are sovereign.
Right.
They don't get the amenities. Something happens in their home, they can't call the police. You deal with that. You have to.
I want to address that, what you just said. You know, this is our biggest problem as a people. You want to be recognized as a nation, but you don't want to take responsibility for yourselves. Guess what? You're going to have to let this European go sooner or later. You ain't here talking about this, all the European, this and this, but you still ain't willing to let them go. You still talking about the amenities that you could get from him and his reality that he done formed in your country. Somebody said, when I was at home watching, somebody said something about sacrifice. Guess what? Get ready to make the sacrifice. Guess what? You either gonna do it on your own, or they gonna make you do it anyway because they getting ready to go, whether you know it or not. You're gonna have to stand up and be accounted for. And you're gonna have to stand up and start establishing, and I don't know if people even understand. I just said we're finna open a Bureau of Motor Vehicles on the west side. Guess what? For the first time in hundreds of years, that's us showing as a people, us interacting in commerce as a nation of people, not individuals. That's big. But it's over a lot of people's head. They don't even understand the significance of it. You're interacting in commerce as a nation. Bureau of Motor Vehicle deals with traveling, driving, commerce. Okay? Our people are known to be subjects of commerce. You're subjects of commerce. Okay? I'm just speaking basic civics. That's all I know is civics and government. I don't participate in the, because we be talking about history and arguing about history forever. I don't get into all the problems of our people, because guess what? We be talking about that forever. I don't get into what the Europeans did to us, because guess what? We're gonna be talking about that forever. What's the answer? What's the answer? The answer is you gotta establish your government. You got to start passing laws like they do. You got to establish your law enforcement. You got to start opening your own schools to start educating your children the way you want them to be educated. And the number one thing you need to be educating them on is government. Because when I read that civics book, and this was a grammar school civics book, my first time reading it was when I was in federal prison. And The first thing it said is your race is your family. So if our race is our family, why we mean mugging each other? You see what I'm saying? So when you start teaching the children basic civics, you will remove us killing each other, because they'll start having what they done lost, which is the natural attraction for each other and affection for each other, which our people don't have. But guess what? Government brings that back. Government brings back loyalty and allegiance. And I can speak on it because I used to be a gang chief too. And guess what? Even though I didn't know dude right there, but I knew he was in the same mob I was in, I was prepared to kill or die for him. And we didn't even know each other. All I knew is he's in the same mob. So this is the same thing that government will do for you. It will make you recognize each other and that we're together. Whether you know each other or not, we fly the same flag, we're countrymen. And that's the bottom line of it.
So what?
Yes, ma'am.
So if I join your government, can you guarantee as a black man in this country or Asiatic, can you guarantee I won't get killed when I walk out this door?
I can't guarantee you ain't gonna get
Okay.
killed if you walk out the door right now and not part of the government.
Right.
So don't do that, brother.
No,
Don't do that.
I'm
Keep
just
it real.
saying,
Okay,
bro.
I'm just saying, keep it real.
It might be
Keep
in
it
my
real.
best interest before I talk government. It might be in my best interest to get a gun first and a bulletproof vest.
I mean, if that's what you want to do, I'm not telling you
time.
not to do that. I'm not
Because
telling you not to do that.
I'm not saying that you're wrong, brother. And
Okay,
I'm
I'm
saying
just
that
saying,
we
I'm not telling
should
you
have,
not to do
I'm
that.
saying that we should have total autonomy and control.
Okay.
But I'm saying at the present time, we're in a state of emergency.
Yes.
I don't have time to go to the court right now and deal with government when
Yes.
I just seen 120 people since George Floyd died. 120 people get killed by the police. That lets me know that I might need to put that on the back burner for a minute and make sure I put protection and get in a group environment or a climate where we can kind of protect one another. Then we can, because everything is in step, stages, and degrees.
Exactly.
Everything is in steps, stages, and degrees. So right now, if there's an emergency, somebody's trying to break into my home, I'm not worried about going to the shower right now. I'm going to worry about trying to eliminate the situation at hand. Then we can worry about the shower later.
So you're gonna call the police?
Let me ask you.
And
You
then
know, I'm
when
not
you go-
call, I didn't say nothing about no
Okay.
police.
So
I
I'm
did
just
federal
saying-
time like you, so I ain't with the police.
Okay,
This is the question I want to ask.
Because they'll probably kill me.
I wanted to ask before we got to this, because many more times we speak of truth is, man is truth and falsehood strangely mixed. How much is this stuff that you think, how much is, because you know it's staged too. Some of it's staged and some of it's the truth. How much do you take to be real and what not to be real? You talk about Killer Mike and Oprah and them, you know they some of the players. These people on TV, they are actors. So what is true and what's not true? How do you respond to that?
Well, I think that you have psyops and you
Absolutely.
have false flags.
Absolutely.
But whether it's a psyop or a false flag, people get it confused. Because it's a psyop
Absolutely.
or a
That's
false
what it's
flag
for.
doesn't mean people don't die.
That's cool. Truth and falsehood strangely mixed.
It's just falsehood, strangely
now how
mixed.
do you respond?
War is deception.
Right.
War is deception.
So what part do you take to be valuable and what not?
No, there, please.
So how do you respond to what you take to be true and not? I know people die, so do you rush out there and do something without fully understanding how this thing is being played out, or do you?
So this is what we were talking about.
Right.
And I don't think it's a rush.
Right.
I don't think it's a rush out.
Okay.
And maybe you might not have been here for the
I
initial
wasn't.
conversation.
That's why the question
So-
probably is. Go ahead.
I put a video out back in 2017.
I appreciate
talking
your
about,
work.
I'm talking about we could get a ghost town. Back then. Right now, we're talking about getting land, which our organization is about to. We're about to obtain a
Right.
substantial amount of land.
Right.
So what this brother's talking about actually, to a certain extent, coincides.
Right.
I don't think it's a rush.
Right.
If we were not up under attack, our organization would still be talking about obtaining land, because one of the principles, we live by 5 strategies. Black politics, land, economics, education, and spirituality. The principle about land is I feel like we should own as much as possible. I don't care if it's a lot in the community or I don't care if it's 1,000 acres out in the sticks somewhere. If it's available, we need to own it, we need to make it ours. That's whether there's an attack or no attack, we need to be obtaining land. So to answer your question. So I believe that there are black bodies that are dying out here.
And
Facts,
they
I
try to
see
get us
it.
to respond to them in a certain way. When you agree?
What's that?
They're trying to make us respond to it in a certain way.
Well, that's what the Rockefeller and George Soros news media is induced to do.
Last man, I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
Soros is on them. So they're involved in stirring this up. So now, like I say, they're trying to get us to respond in a certain way. We want to make sure we don't respond in the way they want us to.
Well, I think for a long time they've been trying to get us to respond in a
Absolutely.
certain way.
Absolutely.
I think we haven't responded at all, which is negligence on our part.
Okay.
And I have no problem saying it. Every time a cop, and you can prove the body is dead, and you can prove the body is in the morgue or in the casket, every time they take one, back in the 70s and 80s, we should have been taking 2 of theirs.
I agree.
And then we wouldn't be in the same.
And we used to do that.
We used to do that. I remember. I'm from the Bronx, so
Right.
they used to have snipers out on the roof when the cops would come and shoot at them, and they haul ass up out of there. So,
So we got to go back to that.
well, that's what they're trying to get us to respond to and have been.
We supposed to do that anyway. Like you just said, we used to do that. We supposed to still protect the community, serve and protect.
So I'm glad you said that. So it goes back to these two brothers, and brothers, I love you. I think it's good to talk, especially in groups like this, so people can get your perspective as well. But you just said, OG, we need to do that. Bruh, I don't need to read a constitution to know that. I don't need to go to a court of law to know that. Human instinct. Before there was any law, man was here. Before there was any law. Before all of that, instinctually, if somebody comes in here right now and tries to attack,
That's a law.
instinctually,
That's a law, though.
I should already know that.
You know,
That's
we talking
inherent.
the same-
That's inherent.
That's
You
a
know,
law.
we're really talking the same language, because when you say instinct, we got to understand that a constitution is really the genetic makeup of the people. So when you're reading a constitution, you're reading the genetic makeup of that society. And that constitution lets the rest of the world know the genetic makeup of that society. Do you believe in slavery? Do you uphold justice? What you're about? That's what a constitution is. So you heard the terminology constitution, and she got a good constitution, or he got a good constitution, he a good guy, whatever, right? Okay, so again, law itself, and again, man, this thing is so simple. It's like right on the surface if you just look. All you gotta do is look at what everybody else around you doing, but you just not gonna do it under those principles that they do it under. Your principles is gonna be so much better because you're gonna do it under the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice for all people, all over the world.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Right quick? I'm prior military too. I hear what you're talking about. You said y'all getting guns, you're getting vests and badges. Okay, will there be a constant supply of that? And may I ask where you get them from? I mean, like, are you getting them from, is it from the establishment? But let me ask this, like this. Do we have an opportunity or a way for us to continue to get the gunpowder to make the bullets, the casings and all that stuff? Do we have the ability to make our own vests? We ourselves, outside of the ATF and all that.
Let me break that down to you. When you read the Emancipation Proclamation, it says the day that these slaves or any of them shall rebel against the United States. So we fought with the United States government, right? So why is the Emancipation Proclamation talking about the day we rebel against the United States? Because Abraham Lincoln knew they wasn't truly setting us free. So again, it continues to say that the day that these people shall rebel against the United States, they then and forever shall be free. And the executive branch, the Navy, and the military of the United States will protect such persons in any of them in any efforts they make for their actual freedom. He's talking about later on in this time, because he knew we was going to wake up sooner or later. So we got to begin to understand what's been done, what's put in place, and where you're going. And until you can really understand it, from a law perspective, because law governs all events, and so a lot of us say, well, you know, law don't apply to Europeans the same way it applies to us. Yes, it do. Ask a European to jump up in the air and see if he can stay up there. So the law apply to all of us the same if you know how to apply it. Our people don't apply it right. That's why it don't work for them. So a lot of times we're thinking we're being in law, but the whole time we're out of law.
Out of law.
Okay, so again, I've heard judges say, based on the Constitution, and again, the Dred Scott case, Judge Cheney said, he said the black man has no rights that a white man is bound to respect. What is he talking about? And he's right. Once I learned and opened my eyes, I could see it clear as day. When you read Article 6 of the United States Constitution, it says, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or any laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. That means all judges must uphold and are bound to uphold all constitutions and all laws of any state. Now that's your answer right there. So if you got a constitution as a people, and if you got laws as a people, these judges have to uphold it. They have to. And I've already experienced it for the last 5 years. We've been dropping it in there, and they've been honoring it because it's being bought the correct way, because it lines up to the law. And they can see it, even though, you know what I'm saying, you know, we're not in there speaking religion. We speaking political rights. We speaking government. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
I'm just asking, do you think that they're doing it because you're speaking the love, peace, freedom and everything for all? I'm just asking because if they feel like you're going to be peaceful, wouldn't they continue to say, no big deal? You know what I'm saying? These people are harmless. They're going to keep on staying in their little space. They're not going to bother us, and we're going to push them about their business. Now, when you speak of like people who are like, by any means, flat out, y'all done, I'm not dealing with that, it's war, then those people, they wouldn't be so lenient to giving them what they're asking for because they know that it could
they're not doing it lawfully. And that's what I was saying about the Black Panthers.
But
the
you know
Black
what,
Panthers are carrying
but
firearms
law?
lawfully.
What is necessarily law when we're still turning over laws that they're allowed to do that should be like absolutely ridiculous? Like, oh, well, we're gonna make it a federal, like it's gonna be, what is it, federal law, I mean a federal crime for lynching now. Like, wouldn't you think that that'd be something that they were already doing? So what laws are we really upholding? Are these your principles per se, or are you going off of like,
I think we
It's
have
the
to
laws.
remember, we have to
Those
remember that we
legalities.
had, we have to remember that we had two people that were trying to get to the United Nations, and they both unfortunately met deaths before they went there. And that was Malcolm X and Johnny Cochran. And Johnny was very astute in law.
Right.
So, I mean, they ended up dead. So anytime we talk on, and this is what I'm saying, anytime we talk on the magnitude of the totality of us all, the totality, that's what we're talking about. And I still have to revert back to the fact that there are people in the world that have governments, and they are up under attack by the Europeans. They have their government, and they have armies.
I think Malcolm and them got killed because they were talking about human rights and civil rights. I mean,
we talking
human rights and
human
birthright.
We're talking human rights.
God-given right.
That's
why they got
in
killed.
international law, the international court
Right.
say a person with no nationality don't even have the right to have rights.
Absolutely.
Again, you have to
We
really
operate on
study.
civil
You
rights.
have to really study international law to understand. Right now, our people are stateless persons in international law. You stateless. That means a lot if you understand what being stateless means. Okay, again, when you start studying the law, you begin to solve your problem as a people when you start lining up to it and stop going head into the brick wall. If you just start doing what you see them doing, having a government, getting your people together under that government, passing your own laws. So you said about, well, what laws? The laws that we get together and that we write ourselves and that we pass ourselves. We've been doing that for 5 years. This is in the public.
So will
Okay.
your government have to buy guns and stuff from?
You have to buy guns and stuff. Of course, you know, we're gonna have to interact with them on some levels, which is basically foreign relations is what you're doing, but you're gonna have to learn how to do all that anyway. You're gonna have to learn how to guard your borders. You're gonna have to learn how to do customs.
So
Our
does that
people
mean,
are
like,
so far
indirectly
behind.
that they'll be controlling what you have and what you don't have?
Would they be? I mean, they're controlling it right now. What's the difference? The difference is at least you're putting yourself, you know, I can't talk about the Arabs having a store in my community, but I ain't opening no store. This is what y'all basically saying when you go against you having your own government. You're basically saying, look, I'm tired of what they're doing. I'm tired of these laws. But instead of you doing the one thing that's going to start changing the playing field, open your store. Us opening our government is us opening our store. It's us saying, hey, we on the playing field as a nation of people now. We're ready to interact in commerce like all nations. We're ready to take responsibility for our own race. We're ready to protect our own people. Okay, right in the United States laws, they're telling you when we turn 18 years old, we're supposed to proclaim what government we're a part of. We're not doing that because we're not taught that. In Puerto Rico, right now, they have the same law. When they turn 18, they must declare if they're going to be a United States citizen or are they going to stay under the original laws of Boricua, which is the sovereign nation itself. Okay? It's a choice.
With you anything, but with this government and you having to go to their government or to the United States to get the weapons or whatnot, they now know how many weapons you have, how many people have those weapons.
But the United States is not your problem.
Where there isn't a government and
Listen,
a group of collective
listen,
men.
the United States is not our problem.
Well,
I told you who our problem is.
A prime example of that is China. The
But
CIA was funding China when Mao Zedong and they were going through the revolution over there. The CIA was funding them. What the CIA did was not funding them economically, sending them bullets and ammunition. And what the CIA did is they sent one blank bullets, and then they sent Mao Zedong. That's how Mao Zedong actually won the war, because this side over here, I can't remember the guy's name, but they were actually the party that should have gotten in. And they sent them the blank bullets. So
See,
that's just to throw that into.
Government's gonna get attacked. Definitely gonna get, they're gonna be attacked, you gotta get that straight. But remember this, they call us minority for a reason, because we don't have our own government. That's why they call us minority, because we depend on them for everything.
Well,
That's why we're minority.
Well, Mexicans are a minority.
I agree, but I think when in the context of the unity walk, what we're looking at,
they also got a country.
in the
So it's
context of the
easier for
unity
them,
walk,
yeah.
what we're looking at, we look at melanated people globally.
We do too.
We're not just looking in this country.
Exactly. It was all
And the
connected.
reason we're not just looking in this country is because we're catching hell everywhere.
Right.
So
we under attack everywhere. Governments are under attack all
But
over
get
the
the wood
planet.
out your own
But-
eye first.
But even the ones that have governments are under attack.
Exactly.
So that's
So that's
intentional.
gonna happen. That's part of it.
So are you with government or are you against government, having your own?
I'm with
Excuse
having
me,
my
real
own
quick.
everything.
Excuse me, may I humbly interject? I'm Greg Phillips L. I am the Minister of Education and Training for Division 401. I'm also the acting Grand Sheikhish at Liberty Temple 23. We have a Moors RBG out in Lions Hill where we're figuring out how we could work together and be part and parcel regardless. It's just one thing that I would like, well, probably three, but you know how it goes. Start off little, keep on going, right? But anyway, so a lot of times, let's just say this word, let's just say this football for a minute, right? And that brother is a linebacker. This brother right here, a quarterback. Me, I like getting my hands dirty with the run game. Me personally, I like to do a stiff arm or two, right? I'm naturally going to see the importance and value of the running game in reference to the overall game. He's naturally going to see the value of a pass rush. But the thing is, if we try to figure out, if we try to quantify the intrinsic value of what aspects of the war are more important due to the niche that we're used to being in, how will we win that way? We need special teams. We need the running game. We need a good quarterback too. And everyone has a different niche that we've been endowed with, that we have a natural empathic understanding of, combined with a motivation to do something about it. But this is a multi-front war, ladies and gentlemen.
So instead of trying to figure out which aspect of the front should we hit first or hit the hardest, we need to figure out how we can get our niches, talents, treasures, and understandings together to hit this war on all fronts, because we're getting hit on all fronts. I'll share.
Hey, can I say something?
Islam.
Can I say something?
Islam, yes.
See, I don't think y'all know what we are about, the unity walk.
Period.
We are Moorish. We are, like he said, we are a team. So that's why we created this. Not to be Moors, not to be Aboriginals, not to be anything specific.
Thank you.
But that's why we welcome you here, because we want your knowledge to bring it to us. So I think that's the basis y'all gotta understand about us, is we believe in everything and everybody have a position in our country.
So how can we do it together at the same time? Not consecutively, concurrently.
I think if you know, in the Bible it says, "Just seek first the kingdom, and everything else will be added on to you." So government don't get smaller; it keep growing. So it'll branch out into us having our own educational system, to us having our own park district, to us having our own cemeteries, et cetera, et cetera. It would be a nice thing if we had like a group that becomes our legislative branch, and they work specifically in writing and passing laws that's needed for our people. Those same laws that we write to govern our people and punish them for crimes is the same people that will write laws that protect us from other nations as well. Our judicial branch is there for the adjudicate our laws and to issue court orders, etc. And our executive branch is there to continue the perpetuation and ways to keep perpetuating our society and our traditions and customs as a people forward. So again, I'm just speaking on the foundation of what, you know, we not had many, you can go back, we not had many organizations. And to me, I say it all the time, organizations ain't nothing but band-aids. The actual cure is government. That's the only thing you haven't done in the last few hundred years. You gotta start thinking outside the box, other than marching and organizations. When you gonna start doing what men do? Men run governments, men rule countries. This is what men do. Not just create little social organizations. No, we gotta take our place.
A nation is an organized body, though. In order for there to be a nation, you have to have a governing body, and you have to have citizens that willfully agree to being led by that governing body.
Agreed.
So,
but you want a
nationhood is a development and evolution of organization. So let's not make it seem as though they're not one and the same.
I'm saying you wanted the governing body, though.
Thereof. Yes.
But each person here
God
can be part of
created
that
a government as well.
See, and that's
the
what
UNIACL is a governing body as well. One that the prophet considered to be the harbinger that paved the way, right? With love, right?
Exactly.
Well, that love that he paved the way with is race first. Matter of fact, that love that he paved the way with, this is African fundamentalism by Marcus Garvey, by the way. He said, as the Jew is held together by his religion, the white races by the assumption and unwritten law of superiority, and the Mongolian by the precious tie of blood, so likewise the Negro must be unified in one grand racial hierarchy. Our union must know no clime, boundary, or nationality. Like the great Church of Rome, Negroes the world over must practice one faith, that of confidence in themselves.
Ooh, I know that's right.
With one God, one aim, one destiny. Let no religious scruples, no political machination divide us, but let us hold together under all climes in every country, making among ourselves a racial empire upon which, quote unquote, the sun shall never set.
Yes, sir. Exactly.
So this is an empire state of mind with this red, black, and green right here, right? This is an empire state of mind. Within an empire, what are the limbs and organs of an empire? Nation states, organizations, right? So within a national construct, there will be differences. There will be different cultures, different traditions, different guides, and so on and so forth, right? But with an empire state of mind, we have to be, even though we have an individual theocratic ways of looking at things, individual ideologies, individual ways that we practically apply how we nation build on a smaller scale. In an empire state of mind, we still have to bring all of those things. The brother Nuri Muhammad with the Nation of Islam, he looking at him one time, he said that a lot of times we confuse unity with uniformity.
Ooh, that's
Whereas
right. That's
uniformity was always going about the same goal, the same way, with the same course. Whereas unity, in the semantic value of the term, was always different parties going for the same goal, different ways.
That's right.
We got to remember that too. Let's have an empire state of mind.
I think our unification is, that's absolutely the most important, and they know it. If J. Edgar Hoover can say the greatest threat to the American establishment is the unification of the Negro, and he said that back in the 60s, and then if Brzezinski can follow that up with a book saying the most important thing that we have to do is make sure that African Americans, Africans, and black Brazilians, the three largest black groups on the planet, stay divided economically, socially, and environmentally.
Yep.
I mean, that says it all right there.
Said it'd be destructive to the Western economy.
So I'm in full agreement with that as well, what you just said. And again, I'm gonna say this, you know, when I was a gang chief, you know what I'm saying, I never talked to representatives, I wanted to talk to their chief. We don't have no government officials. So therefore, other government officials don't want to talk to you. This is what's going on and what's been going on with us. You keep sending preachers and pastors up here. Where's your government officials? Where's your head of states? This is all I'm saying. Government is the foundation of everything. And the Honorable Prophet Noble Ali teach us, he say, I took what I bought you and I enshrouded it in religion to keep the Europeans from molesting what I bought you. So the main thing he bought, for some of us, we keep thinking it's the religion, but it's really something greater. And he said, I bought you your nationality, your religion, and the keys to your vast estate. He mentioned nationality first because nationality connects you to a land and a nation. He said, our flag over 10,000 years old. We know Moors Simple wasn't formed until the 1900s. So he was connecting us back to our ancestors, back to our nation, back to our government, and the fact that we established all governments on the earth. I teach that the religion of Islam is governing. Our religion is governing. We rule and we govern. We ain't been practicing our religion because our religion is running things. You see what I'm saying? And till we get back to trying to run and rule things, you're going to remain out of power because you was put on this earth to rule it. You was put here to run things. You just got to get back to that. So again, I agree with everything y'all saying.
Let me ask you this, because I don't know. Is the concept of government and constitution, is that a European ideology, or did that come from us?
That come from us.
Can I ask a question behind that?
To what extent?
That was where I was
To the extent that your word is bond. So when you make a contract, or you give somebody your word, you're going to do something, you need to stand on what you say. We created that, not no Europeans. You know, we as Moors teach all the time, you know, well, we went to Europe in 711 AD, and we taught the Europeans how to read, how to write, how to take a bath, all this great stuff, but then for some reason, you thinking that they done created anything. They ain't created nothing but copyright office and credit. That's the only two things they created, and they created the copyright office to steal everything we created, because when we created it, it was for everybody to use. We didn't care nothing about, oh, I need to copyright this. No, just fresh drinking water for everybody.
So,
you see what I'm saying?
That means that, so if you're saying that that our ancestors, and we're talking about ancient Egyptian order, ancient mystic order, Upper and Lower Egypt, Timbuktu, Ethiopia at their heights of their dynasties, if you're saying that the form of government was based on just my word is my bond, and we look at European government, which is based on the breaking of every treaty that they've ever made.
Except for one.
What type of government are you talking about forming within the confines of this larger government? Because they break treaties consistently.
No, I had a
sheriff. And if we're talking about being on this same landmass that they currently occupy as the powers that be, how does that system work and operate?
The European people know that they're in trouble right now. For one, they're not repopulating fast enough.
True.
For two, they know everything they've done to all the people all over the world. For three, they know if they're gonna be protected, like the Honorable Prophet Noble Jew Ali said, they asked him, y'all gonna leave us a place to live this time? And he told them if they do, it'll be by the hands of Moors. Okay, so the Europeans are on their way out. And I can only keep stressing this. They're tearing down the statues of Christopher Columbus. They just tore down George Washington's statue. They're on their way out. You're on the way in. But in order for you to get all the way in, you got to start setting up your government. You got to start learning how to govern a nation, not self, but a nation. You got to learn how to run your customs. You got to learn how to protect your borders. It's so many things that we got to learn how to do. So it's still us wasting time, you know, and I'm not against people that march, do any of that. That's what they want to do. I'm used to governing. I'm used to running things. You know what I'm saying? And I said it before, and I can't erase my history. But yeah, I used to sell drugs, and I used to be a gang chief. I used to call it from 35th Street all the way to Harvey, Illinois, for traveling vice lords at one time. So, you know, I understand governing and come to see about my people and some of my people getting killed and having to politic with another nation, which is foreign relations. And I actually was at the Taste when we set up a nationwide peace treaty in the city of Chicago back in the day. You know what I'm saying? I actually was there. So I understand how treaties are formed with other nations of people. And again, you know, I don't think that nothing that I ever lived through, that God put me through, I think every bit of it was to groom me specifically for this purpose right here, right now, which is organizing our people, teaching them government, teaching them civics, and moving forward with just that. I said it before, our people can stay part of any organizations they want. They can stay part of any religions they want. But everybody still gonna have to have a citizenship. You still gonna have to have a government. And this is just a basic truth that we can't get away from. Yes,
So I got a question, because I belong to an organization, and we work very closely with some Moors, and that was the thing that we heard in the beginning, right? When it came down to us gaining our citizenship, everything that we had to give up to the Moors. So for you to say that everybody can maintain their own autonomy as a different nation, and I belong to the Toma Nation, that wasn't so when we got to that point. And so that's where it stopped.
We got to what point?
When we got to the point of citizenship. Everybody has to have their citizenship and their nationality. So when we got to that point, there was some documents that was presented to us that our nation was signed over to your nation. It wasn't like a coming together.
Okay, listen, let me address that. We got many what's called nomadic tribes on the continent. We got a nation state that was trading with the Japanese when Christopher Columbus came here. We had already been to Europe and helped these people. So we have a nation state here, and then we got tribes here. Okay? I just said, if you want to stay part of a tribe and understand, when you read civics, it's telling you we started off as families, families became tribes, tribes became clans, and clans became nations. I'm not trying to go back in time. My God wants me to keep evolving. I'm trying to lead a planet and start going to other planets. That's why I'm at with it. I'm not trying to keep going back in the day. No. Okay, so what you're saying, I'm just saying you would still be protected because the national government, and I said this earlier, we are the national citizens. For those that don't understand that, do your homework on what a national citizen is. The national citizen of Japan is Japanese people. The national citizens of China is the Chinese people. The national citizens of Ireland is the Irish. The national citizens of America are us, the Americans. So when we start understanding that, guess what? The America is North, South, Central America, Pan America, and Latin America. All this is the Americas. So all your American people, you would notice, will have the AN in it, like Argentinian, Brazilian, Nicaraguan, Guatemalan. All these are the true American people. So when we start learning who our people really are, back in 1900, Noble Jew Ali didn't tell us to learn Arabic. He told us the language we best need to learn is Spanish. Look at your country today. Which language gonna help you the most? Spanish. When you start traveling down through South and Central America, if you speak Spanish, they don't know if you from here or down there or not. Because a lot of our people is in all these countries, including China and Japan. You have so-called black Japanese. They just don't show them. So again, the unification of our people all over the world is the unification of us right here. When we get it together here, all the rest of them gonna get it together. And then we're gonna truly unify all Asiatic people.
So two things I wanna interject. One, the unity walk, that's why we deal from a spiritual aspect and not religion. Because a lot of times with religions, you don't reap the benefits unless you are a member. And that's just facts. Let me finish, because the Nation of Islam, they're great. Brothers and sisters is great. But unless you are a nation member, you're not gonna reap the benefits of that plate. But they will tell you that, hey, everybody's part of the nation.
Thank you.
But it's
Elijah Muhammad's greatest followers are not members of the nation.
Exactly. But I'm not going to reap the benefits of that land you own or anything like that. So this is why our fifth strategy is spirituality. When we talk about Central and South America, I've had the fortune of being able to travel. I wasn't always in prison. Those brothers and sisters down there, they get gutted, and they got nationalities. Again, every place on planet Earth, they got nationalities. I know black Colombians. I used to watch novellas so that I could learn the language. And when you watch them, the racism and discrimination, those people are put on the back burners. Argentina, they tried to knock the whole black population out by bringing German men in there to amalgamate in sex with the black women to knock their whole genetic code out. So when we